So what do we take from last night's Monday night game? If you read Twitter, and I'm honestly trying to read less of it these days.
Same.
But it is such a crucial news gathering item, and also you get to see what others are thinking as you're trying to figure things out. Moving forward. You're trying to figure all that stuff out during a game. I'm looking at it, and what do you glean from Monday Night Football last night?
A few things.
Drew Brees is done. That's it. It's been great. It's been great, and he's done. And all my colleagues at NBC that are waiting for him, I guess you're going to get him week 3. That's kind of a bummer. Well, they are going to get him in week 3 for sure, because of his next game is on Sunday Night Football. But I'm just talking about broadcasting career. Apparently, he's done. He threw for 300 yards last night. He's finished. 26. It's funny. Look at his stat line. 26 of 38, 312 yards, touchdown, interception. Alvin Kamara looked tremendous last night, damn near over 100 yards receiving. Traquan Smith with Michael Thomas out. He had quite a night. 5 catches, 86 yards. You take a look at that, and you're like, okay, so Brees did what he needed to do with his number one receiver out, the guy who basically targets half the time out for the first time in a long time. And he acquitted himself. But then the eye test, where it was checked down central quite a bit.
It was. Our
friends at PFF, Pro Football Focus, Chris Collinsworth, Pro Football Focus, where they break everything down.
Love that site.
Drew Brees' average target depth, in other words, the average depth from the line of scrimmage where he was targeting a receiver, 5.3 yards last night. And of his 300 some odd passing yards he amassed last night, 60% of them were yards after catch. Meaning he puts the ball exactly where it needs to be. He positions his receiver to catch and run. That is part of this offense. But when you need to throw deep, even though they are playing 2 safeties back, by the way, I really enjoyed listening to the broadcast last night. Big Bag of Leaves. I've heard his voice. Get out of town, and I mean it, for over a quarter century on SportsCenter. Greasy and Louis Riddick. I really enjoyed listening to their commentary.
Yeah, same.
They're talking about 2 safeties deep, so obviously they're like saying you're not going to throw it. They throw it where you're supposed to throw it. And Drew Brees is one of those GOAT quarterbacks. He's like, you give me what you're going to give me, and I'll take it. But you look at Drew Brees, and you see last night, and all that plus the number 41, which is his age now. And it came up based also on his week 1 performance, in which the Saints won. People are viewing that as the deodorant of diminishing returns. By the way, that's not a bad fantasy team name.
Down. Very good.
The deodorant of diminishing returns.
Ding.
Covering things up. Now, Drew Brees himself was asked about this last night. This is what Drew Brees had to say on this very subject.
My job is to execute the offense, right? And so I think I've always evaluated myself on being a great decision maker. And so at the end of the day, I'm gonna throw the ball to the open guy, move the ball down the field, score points, help us win football games. So that's my job. My job's not to have the most air yards or throw the ball down the field the most or anything like that. My job's to help us win. My job's to help put everybody around me in the best position to succeed. And that's all I'm focused on.
That's a goat chafing at the question. Who could have been the MVP of the Super Bowl the year Peyton Manning won it with the Colts? I'll answer that question for you. The running back, Dominique Rhodes.
Correct.
Could have been the MVP that night because of how many times Peyton Manning checked it down to him. And I know that would probably chafe with Peyton Manning because he was playing cover 2, Lovie Smith's defense. He took what was given to him. That is the way I'm going to take this right now. Because I have been around the block long enough to not paint with the broadest brush, the paint of "You're done" atop a goat.
I mean, Kellerman's been doing it to Brady for like 8 years.
I will not do it. It's very simple for us to do it. All I'm going to say is it sure looked at times last night that the Saints could use some chunk plays, and they weren't there. And part of it is you must proverbially tip the cap to the Raiders, which I will do at length momentarily. But the story coming out of this is the Saints, Super Bowl contenders, no Michael Thomas, Drew Brees looking at times ordinary. And you've got this as the storyline coming out of this game because the Saints are 1-1. By the way, still tied for the lead. They're really in front because they've got a tiebreak on the other 1-1 team because their one is against the Bucs, whose Leonard Fournette will be joining us shortly. I'm just not ready to do it yet, but there's Sunday night coming up. And you know Brees will be sitting on this storyline all week. You know Sean Payton will be hearing it. You know that Sunday Night Football is in New Orleans with Green Bay coming to town and Aaron Rodgers. And oh boy, let's see what the Saints look like here.
But you think
Let's
what?
see.
They're going to throw deep on the first play
No,
just to prove
I
a
don't.
point?
I am
or-
not. No, let's see what the passing game looks like. I'm not ready to say Brees can't push the ball down the field because he's an old man and he's toast. I'm just not going to do that. That is absolutely what you're hearing today from a ton of people. I won't do it. I won't do it because, again, sometimes a quarterback will win a game based on what you give him. Doesn't matter what it looks like in terms of air yards. And sometimes the quarterback will take what you give him and they lose and they look like they don't have the ability or gumption to throw deep, baby. And you heard what Brees' answer is right there. I will, as if he cares or not, accept that. But here comes Green Bay. Here comes Aaron Rodgers. Here comes Aaron Rodgers with a chip on his shoulder still. Here comes Aaron Rodgers throwing deep left, right to everybody.
Man. 42 points a game.
Everybody's eating right now. And so, yeah, Brees is coming to NBC. Many people think he's coming as a broadcaster very shortly. And others think that, like I am, I'm waiting to hear and see. Didn't look good for the Saints last night, obviously. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.